Welcome, episode 15.
15?
15 or
15.
15. Check the Wire podcast. Myself, DanGheesling, Ryan, Gary, Laterna. What's going on, man?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Hey, just you living the dream, grinding, content creation. What about you?
It's kind of a, this is my long day. I've been working hard this morning. Got a quick little workout in the morning, recorded a couple of videos, and excited to be here.
A workout inside the abode, or did you go outside the abode?
Yeah, obviously inside the abode.
Okay.
Our gyms are not even, they're not going to open until minimum June 1st, but probably even later than that. So it's going to be a while, but thankfully my parents actually strong-armed me into giving me these Bowflex adjustable dumbbells.
I was gonna ask if you have the solid. Do you have the kinds that change? That's magic.
Yeah.
How does it work?
It is. Well, I don't know. There's a series of plates on it. There's really small plates that are probably 2.5 pounds, and then there's larger ones that are 10 or 15 pounds. And then just by turning it, it makes it only catch the amount of pounds it's supposed to catch when you pull it out.
But the pounds are still there.
Not when you pick it up. It's not when you turn the dial, it makes the weight less heavy. It just picks up more or less of the plates that are on the thing.
Oh, but you know the ones I'm talking about, though. There's some that you lift up and they could be 20 pounds, and you lift up the exact same thing and it's 25 pounds.
That's this. It's just.
Does it leave plates on the floor?
It leaves plates on the base, yeah.
But there's some that you can't do, that the plates stay with you.
I disbelieve you. I don't believe you. Okay. I think you're talking about something that defies the laws of physics.
Okay. Well, speaking of physics, it's been an interesting week of L's and W's.
It has been.
Yeah.
It has been.
Tell us about your let's go W of the week.
That's an easy one. I think the W of this week was really team unity.
Hit me with it.
Last week, Team Unity, we were super hyped up for it, and it didn't go as well as we thought. But this week, Unity went super well on Tuesday. We had a couple, actually 3 wins, great games. And then we streamed 7 hours of Team Unity when we normally do 3.5 or 4, which is a pretty good sign that things were going very well. And then secondarily, right after the stream, Dan was like, hey, I got contacted about Team Unity participating in this charity tournament. Do you guys want to do it? I know it's short notice. And it was universal, not even any hesitancy. Everybody was like, yeah, I want to do it. So we did that yesterday, and I thought it went super well as well. So I think the bulk of my work week has kind of been Team Unity stuff so far. And I think it's got people pogged up. It's got me pogged up.
Yeah. And I want to bring up the invitation to the charity event, because we just got done off essentially a marathon, old throwback PUBG OG marathon stream, when it's always one more, and then to get off, check the email. I got this email and it's hey, do you guys want to play in a tournament tomorrow? It's less than 24 hours. Probably 16 hours. And initially I'm all right, let me just throw it to the guys, because I'm assuming it's going to be a hard no. It's like a 90% no for me, because it's less than 24 hours. I drop it in there. Austin's yeah. And then Malph's yeah. And you're yeah. And I'm okay. Because I was still until every person that said it, minus 20% for me, meaning pogged me up. But it's on my end, Wednesday is normally kind of my night off. I'm with the family, and I'm all right, I gotta, find a quarantine check babysitter, line up. But at the same time, it was one of those deals. And I think you and I think I got the vibe from maybe you, but it's hey, this is a unique opportunity, a chance for Unity to do something out there, but also just something fun, and that we don't have to organize. It's gonna be fun, it's for a good cause, and that the community is probably gonna really enjoy.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. I'm glad I got to put my money where my mouth is when we were talking about it for Tarkov Twitch Rivals. Is if somebody else is organizing the whole thing, then I think, what reason do I have to say no, especially because it was in my normal time slot anyway. I'll be no, even though it's a charity tournament that people would have a lot of fun with and is for a good cause. No, I just want to play Dark Souls 2. I want to start Dark Souls. I can start Dark Souls 2 next Wednesday or next Tuesday. Like, I think, you don't get too many opportunities where somebody else is organizing absolutely everything. And especially like, I do say no to a lot of things that other people organize, but it's stuff that's like imperfect in the sense that either it's just me or it's an indie publisher or developer that's like, hey, we're organizing a tournament for a game like you've never played. You don't know whether it's good or not so good. And like, we don't know what the time investment on it is going to be. You don't know anybody else involved in it, et cetera, et cetera. So I say no to a lot of things like that. But, hey, the game you're already playing way too much of with the people you're already playing too much of it with, for a good cause, organized by people who are actually like involved in esports, so they know what they're doing. It was like easy win.
Yeah, and I'll kind of like distill that, and I'm not going to put words in Ryan's mouth, but it was like, it's a professional level, back thing. The email we got was from the president of one of the Call of Duty franchises, the Mutineers. And so I don't think like any of us thought, hey, this wasn't going to be a well-run event. And to be honest, like on our end, it was pretty seamless. And I didn't get a chance to thank you, but thank you for handling kind of the admin on the back end with the screenshot.
Oh,
but like,
it's no problem.
But, not comparing it to anything else, but it was just show up and play and have fun. And we literally had to do nothing else. And so,
and honestly, like you could look at the results and we came 11th of 12. Although on my subreddit, somebody did run some analysis and said we should have been 10th. But, I'm not trying to be a stickler about it. I'm just saying morally, spiritually, I think we came top 10. But I think if you look at our actual performance, like we did really well. We didn't throw any of the games, really. We got 2 second places with like high double-digit kills. That's pretty good for us.
Yeah, and I talked about on the back channel last night, but I told the guys, I'm like, hey, look, we kind of showed that we could play another game. Our game isn't to go try to get as many kills as possible. It's like have fun, kind of rat strat it and get a win. But like, I was really happy with how we did it. Like we kind of we adapted to the format, did the best we could. And I think most importantly, what I really enjoyed is everyone kind of like stepped up, and like you and I kind of messed around a lot less, and everyone communicated a little bit more. You could say we increased the sweat, but we did it in almost like an organic way to us, where we still like, all right, we just turned the notch up a little bit so we could compete and try to have some fun in the process.
But dude, it did open my mind to what is possible in Warzone. The fact that like there were people getting like 30 kills a game. An aim trainer came out for Steam today, and I want to pick it up. And like, I'm not going to put in like 100 hours on the aim trainer, but I want to at least run through like some beginner stuff. Cause I'm like, come on, getting 2 or 3 kills in a win, that's unacceptable.
Well, and let's talk about Warzone a little bit, and maybe not so much the game, but I guess what it's kind of harnessing. On my end, like it just feels like PUBG, we had, in my opinion, as Team Unity, myself, Apollo, Melf, and you, like I feel like we've had 2 grand slams. I feel like PUBG and its inception, and then Minecraft. Everything else is kind of like base hit or maybe swing and a miss. But to me, this feels like kind of what we needed at the right time. And I've been trying to like rack my brain as to why a little bit. And I feel like the only thing, and I'll mention here what you have to say, the only thing I feel like it's like a blank canvas that's a lot of fun with built-in communication that we don't necessarily have to keep layering on top of each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was so stoked after like the Tuesday stream that I got in the back channel, and was like, that stream was like the quality of those early like magical PUBG streams. And I think we all saw, I mean, we have to give a lot of credit to Apollo, honestly. You, me, and Malf saw it, and we're like, this could be early PUBG or Minecraft levels, but it's going to be a tough sell, or like literally an impossible sell to get Apollo on. He just has to decide that he's going to play himself. And I honestly took a pair of brass ones to kind of swallow it and just go, I might take a little bit of heat for this, but it'll be worth it to make some good entertainment in the future. And, if it were not for that, we wouldn't have maybe gotten the invite to the charity thing. And, it probably would have screwed up some of our opportunities a little bit. So I think we owe him a lot for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's the fun part about it, is it's like together, right? So even like looking at a microcosm of yesterday, like, we had fun, and like Apollo did well, but Melf had a moment too. Like I like that when everyone's kind of like, hey, this is like my stamp on the day, and like you can be excited about that. So I think that's the fun. But the thing I wanted to ask is, you brought up like Unity was a win this week. So for you, how do you delineate the win? Is it, hey, you played well, or you knew it was great? Like on the meter, what's more important to you, or how do you break that? Was it good content, or did we win?
I'd say it's entertainment value first and foremost, because I mean we've done Unity streams that were not about that were not competitive at all. Like a lot of those Minecraft streams were huge wins because there were great moments, like the Silverfish moment, or getting scared by just random stuff in the game, or Mouth throwing his pickaxe into the lava. Like there's great stuff there. So I think number one is definitely entertainment, I would say. But also, like, I mean, Unity, and it's been not a sore spot, but it's been a subject that's up and down because it varies so much based on like game choice and what we're doing. So like, Minecraft was great. And then we kind of had some up and downs. Terraria was like great for a bit and then kind of got bogged down. Tutty was really fun. And then a little bit like we got salted up by rules that were a little bit too competitive. And, the environment in chat was a little bit more like rules lawyering and a little bit less like just enjoying the entertainment. So, we pivoted off of that. And then even like with Warzone, that first Tutty Warzone stream where it was the Unity Warzone stream where it was you, me, and Mouth was great. But then the first Unity one was a little spotty, not just because of like bad performances, but it didn't seem like we were like that high energy and like we were vibing that well. But this one was like the perfect. It was like when you play a golf game and you get like perfect power, perfect precision lock on the aim. Like we were bantering. Everybody had some good moments, like you said, and I think we can carry that momentum forward with us.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the quintessential moment of a Warzone for Team Unity so far wasn't the esports. It was the game after it. It was like we had some messing around. Everyone got a bunch of kills. We won. I mean, it was just like, to me, that was like it. And you can't. The thing is about with Unity or anything, you can't, and especially in competitive environment, you can't like plan that, right? You just kind of got to let everyone be who they are and let the magic happen. And I think part of that is, we've been doing this together for so long. I mean, since PUBG, it's like you can kind of feel that even if no one's saying it, you can kind of feel like, hey, like, we need to get Dan going a little bit, or hey, I got to, de-salt Ryan a little bit, or, like you can kind of feel that without saying it, without making a big deal, because then chat's going to be like, oh, I'm just making up examples. So, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm with you on that. It was a really fun experience. And I think the other thing too is that I think when we started Warzone, like, you don't know what's gonna, like, none of us, I never would have said we would stream 7 hours of Warzone, get invited to an esports event, and it just, you just don't know. But I do, I'm gonna put this on ink. I do think that you're gonna see Unity continue to grow in unique ways that probably you and I won't know about 6 months from now. I don't know. I just think there's something to it.
Yeah. We're biased, but I'm like, if you're running a tournament that's not exclusively like the best players in the world, why wouldn't you invite us?
Yeah, I mean, like in this, I mean, it's 100% biased, but I'm trying to think of like other crews that aren't, that aren't professional or aren't that super like high, that can kind of do both, perform a little bit, but have fun and make it a fun event. So I don't know, and I don't know the whole Twitch community, but that, dude, I'm with you on the W of the week. What about your L of the week?
Well, I think the easy cop out would be like we've had a lot of discourse on thumbnails, which is just minutia. But we'll talk about thumbnails a little bit later because it's one of the things I ran a little experiment with my thumbnails to see how things were gonna change, and we'll talk about the analytics there. But I think like my L this week is honestly more of like work-life balance. Definitely like. In the quarantine, I think one of the benefits of the quarantine is that you get more time to spend at home. But definitely, like a lot of the incentive for me, or the temptation for me, is that it's very easy to be like, because we can't go out and do anything, like literally basically anything except grocery shop. It's very easy for me to just kind of burn the midnight oil a little bit more. And, normally maybe I'd work until like 7 or 8 p.m. Some days I'm working like 9:30, and then like setting the videos at this point even takes more time, and pushing the stuff from Twitch to YouTube takes a little time, and then taking clips from Twitch and putting them on TikTok takes time. So really over the last week I've been averaging probably like an hour and a half of free time daily, except for my day off, which is super low, like too low. So I'm gonna try to my actionable item for like this week is try to have like almost you on Tuesdays, and we'll see how flexible it ends up being. But like a hard stop at like 8 p.m. If I have to do like a little admin work after that, so be it. It happens. But like try to get a hard stop at 8 p.m. because it's kind of, I think the fact that we're in this isolation period is almost breeding the bad habit of like I can just work basically 16 hours a day, sleep 8 hours a day, and repeat it forever. And obviously, that's not going to be a reality that, I mean, it's not even a great reality right now, but when things start opening up, and obviously as the pregnancy progresses or like we have the child, it's obviously going to be not possible.
When you say an hour and a half of free time, is that like you recreation time or is that like you and your wife time?
Yeah, it's like me and Kate time. But even then, like that hour and a half is oftentimes like, you know, cooking dinner, doing the dishes, taking the garbage down, whatever chore, like cleaning the litter box, stuff like that. So maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
But it's
I
not
might
like
have like
true enjoyment, like you guys sitting down, talking, hanging out. It's like,
yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's some of that, but it's also like a little bit like, there's also like domestic stuff in the house that needs to get done. So there might actually be like half an hour of that daily.
mm-hmm.
So definitely like pulling back a little bit of the work on that is that's, I wouldn't call it like an L of the week necessarily, but something like I want to work on in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Oh no, that makes sense. And then, but the thing is, like, I'd imagine, like there's a lot of understanding in terms of, hey, look, this event came up, we're not supposed to do this, like, and I think that's part about like the give and take of a relationship is like, on my end, like, I'd say my L of the week is very similar. Is between Tuesday and Wednesday, like I streamed 20 hours. Like that's not, and I'm like, it was good. I'm glad it happened. But like in my head, long term, like I don't want that to be the future at all. But granted, there was, a special event on Wednesday and things Tuesday, got a little off the rails. But to me, like, it's kind of like you have these buckets, right? You have work, you have like your wife, and then you have your kids, not necessarily in any order. But like I felt like I was shortchanging my kids a lot. And so I'm like, okay, what can I do different? Like I know Wednesday, I'm not supposed to stream at night. So this is like not only just for me, but my kids are on a schedule. So it's kind of like I don't mind doing that every now and then, but also it's got to be every now and then because for me it felt okay because I'm like, all right, hey, I can work this out. But it was also a reminder to me is like, all right, look, make sure you're very diligent about when you're ending things because like you said, it can get really out of hand really quick. And out of hand isn't necessarily a bad thing because we're working towards something but in terms of like you work hard and I almost feel like sometimes before all this stuff I was like super dialed in and knocked everything out, and now it's like when you have an open-ended schedule because there's nothing else to do, it's like you said, it's breeding kind of habits that I think take a while to form in this thing that we do because it's really easy to get wrapped up in your work. Especially one of the things I think about too is with the more work we do, the better things are, right? Like more engagement, everything. And so it's like it's this feedback loop that propagates you working more because you get better stuff back, whether hey, good moments, people get excited, good feedback. So it's you kind of my thing is if you're not diligent about how you do that, you can get caught up really quickly. And we talk about this a lot, but it's just not in my vision. I don't want to stream 10 hours a day, not because I don't want to, but because I think over time it won't put on a good show because it's not kind of what I want to do and to make sure all the buckets are filled, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, I agree 100%. Like I was talking about it with Kate last night and I'm like, part of the reason like I'm working harder now is because I probably won't have that opportunity to work so hard. I mean, I definitely won't have the opportunity to work so hard in September, October. But also I was like, I recognize that we're in this lucky position where we make our own hours for one, which most people can't do when they have a kid. So, maybe like the father of the child might take like a couple of weeks off around the time of the birth, but then he's maybe back in the office. And I really want to like take advantage of that opportunity and be like, we're successful. I can take a lot of time off. I can be very flexible with it. And I don't want to just be like, I don't want to squander the opportunity because it's a once in a lifetime, or maybe a few times in a lifetime sort of situation. So they like, definitely that's part of it. I want to get out of the habit in advance. But I agree with you also. Like, it's always easy to like add more stuff. Like, that's what happened this year. Like, Check the Wire is one of the things that got added. And honestly, like, quarantine happening has made it so there's more time available for stuff like that. Checkpoint League got added. For you, you've got like Saturdays are watch parties now. And I think like even at the start of 2020, you were only streaming like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And then it was the Tarkov drops pushed you to 5 days a week, or now 6 days a week. Yeah, so like it's crazy. And it runs like this. The same thing happened to me. I used to stream, like when I first started on Twitch, I streamed Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or sorry, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I was like, you know what? Let's add like a Sunday stream, because there's like 4 days, or there's 3 days between Thursday and Monday where I like, people forget that I exist. So let's add that in there. And then I was like, Twitch is doing really well and YouTube is slowing down a little bit. So let's add in like a little Tuesday stream on what used to be my day off. Now Tuesdays are like 8 hours. Oftentimes is my longest stream day. And then like, I'm like, okay, but Fridays are sacred. But now Checkpoint League is happening on Fridays. And sometimes like when a sponsored deal comes in, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to take away any of my original content. So I'll just append that to the Friday Checkpoint League stream. And it just like keeps going and going and going and going. It's so much easier to like add more stuff than it is to cut stuff off. So, you have to make some hard decisions, I think, at some point about, maybe, like Fridays are not going to happen in the future because I just need, like you said, to fill the other buckets. I need time from somewhere.
Yeah, no. And I think that's where you and I are similar, whatever it is you want to call it, is that if there's, I wouldn't call it an opportunity, but if there's a window of opening to either make something better or do something different or create more, if the window's open, 99 out of 100 times we're probably going to jump head first through it and then look back and be like, oh, the glass was shredded. Maybe we should walk ourselves back. And to me, that's where I think it's the ever going battle. And like you said, it's also a privilege of, hey, look, on Wednesday, like normally I'd stream at, and I was a little concerned. I don't know. Wednesday, normally stream at 11. I'm like, hey, we're going to push the show to 1 o'clock. So it's 2 hours. I wanted to do the normal show and then do the tournament, but then like that cut out my night with my family. So I front loaded it. And there's a part of me, it's like, hey, I'm moving the entire window of the show plus 2 hours. Like, are people going to be okay with that? Like, are the people that normally tune in and like, hey, they want to see Demon Souls at 1 and they show up and it's Tarkov. Like, that stuff I think about a lot because I try to be as consistent as possible, and what you're going to get. And I don't know, like, I think, I don't want to call it goodwill built up, but I talked about last week, but I feel like time after time, I'm coming to the realization, the community showing me like, hey, it's okay. Because I don't want to see you have goodwill built up that people know we're not like canceling or pushing because because we don't want to do it.
I'm tired.
Yeah. And so I don't know. And I think at the end of the day, to kind of wrap this, I feel like if you're happy in every bucket, it's going to make for a way better experience for everyone versus like if you run the engine red, there's going to be a breaking point. And I just don't, for me, I'm super hyper aware right now. I'm getting close. Like I haven't taken a streaming day off. Like I just haven't taken a streaming day off outside of Sundays in a long time. And like stuff is like real life stuff's piling up. But I'm like, hey, if we don't do this and this opportunity goes away. So it's just, and this is not, and I just want to be very clear. This is not complaining. This is a great problem to have, but it's also something that on this side of the curtain, if I don't actively manage it, then it's like, oh, my inbox has 4,000 emails and, all the, it's time to delete them all. And, oh, I missed this email from the mutineers that invited. It's just, so I don't know. So I'm tinkering with it, but I think actively, and, I'm not going to dad advice you, but, my biggest thing is just as you go, you'll feel what the right thing is to do is. And I feel like the community will be understanding about when and where you do pick your moments.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
yeah. what's your big L of the week? And
so,
you can't take personal time because I already took it. So
no, I mean, so there's a lot of L's, but I would say my L of the week, honestly, is probably let me start with the W of the week because it'll spark
Okay.
the other end of it. So W of the week, which is it's a little granular, but it's like not a high meta level thing, is that the likes are working on YouTube. Last week I'm like, okay, hey, it's kind of working. We're all in. Like the Sinvicta method is working. I have a little bit smaller overlay. I don't
want to interrupt,
Yeah.
but when we had the podcast last week, you talked about putting the thing up for the Spelunky episode.
Yeah.
Kate put on a Spelunky episode like a night later, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was fairly big, and I thought it was just kind of like intermittently popping up, but it was there for the whole episode, and I was like, no wonder this guy's taking a little heat over it.
So at first it was just an image of, hey, 200 likes equals this. Now it's, I think now we're up to 301 likes plus streak number is 5. So it puts a little extra heat. Hey, you guys have done this 5 days in a row. Let's keep it rolling. And like, it'll get to the point now where the video's been posted for 6 hours, 7 hours, and it's already there. So, and I think there was like maybe out of say 100 comments, there was 2 that people are like, Dan, I don't really like that. Then someone chirped and it was like, hey, look, it's just a reminder. You don't even see it. But so I think like, wouldn't say it's like 100% in line and I'm okay with it. But at the same time, it was a nice win to see, hey, look, I went from not hitting the number to now it's like doing that. And what I think's happening is that, and I'll know probably in a month or two, I'll be able to just isolate that series and look at, hey, the numbers, the views are also going up because of feeding the YouTube algorithm.
And even if they don't go up, like, because you're talking about Spelunky exclusively, I assume, just even staying at the level for a longer period of time, you're kind of like you're always fighting against like the riptide with a long running series, right? So I think that even if you don't see it like start to pull up, the fact that it's there is at the same spot is indicative of it being worth it for sure.
Yeah, because you and I know we can drop an episode 1 of anything, episode 1, and immediately it's going to outperform the majority of things going on. Like that's just how it is. So I think that was like, I think maybe just another glimpse into how I operate is like I'm the way, and it's really, it's like an Achilles heel, but also helps me is like, I'll put my head down until it works. Like I'm just going to figure it out. And that sometimes that can rub people the wrong way, or sometimes like I'll spend way too much time on something, but it was just kind of nice to have that click because that all started from like a not flip it conversation, but something we talked about 2 minutes at the end of the podcast. And I do think there is, like, looking at it on a whole, I think there's a tremendous amount of value to that. It may not be quantifiable, but I think there's just something to that. I don't know necessarily what that is though.
Like, you mean there's something to the likes helping the analytics, or there's something to...
No, I think there's like a objective or like a number based thing that it helps, and I also think there's like a subjective like community thing that helps as well, is because now and people are getting invested. That like there was a comment that I read, and it's like, hey Dan, I never click the like button out of spite, not because he doesn't like the content, just on any of them. He's like, but I clicked it on this one. And I think it's because I don't click a ton of like buttons either, but if for whatever reason it's working, and I think it's like building something. So I think the thing I'm excited about is for future series, I'm not always going to do like emblazon the image there, but I think it allows another outlet for creativity that could be fun, that makes series more engaging on YouTube. Because I think we talked about on the back channel, for me, like YouTube is like I don't know the definition of loss leader, but it's not something that is like a revenue generator, right? I do it because it's fun. I know there's an audience there that people like to watch that don't watch Twitch, and I think it helps like grow everything. Like I would never want to not be on YouTube, just because I think it's that important. But it's not like the, and we talk about this before, but the time, and I think it's very different for you, but the time I spend on YouTube versus the time I spend on Twitch is not even in the same
I believe it,
sport. So but it's still really important. So I'd say that was a huge W. And I think the L is just what I talked about. It's just spending 20 hours streaming was both like a win and a loss. But it's I always take the loss as a win, because it's now like, even for today, like I know that this podcast normally, and this is going to get Pepe hands in chat. Normally this podcast, it's an hour. It went to like 70 minutes. Last was 90. This one we got a hard stop. And
just
because on everything. That's what I'm working on this week is predetermining when things start and end and kind of taking it from there. But this podcast did start late. So for my WWs, I want to talk about your thumbnails because it like went from like a little seed to an explosive conversation of like people breaking it down and posting, hey, here's a rainbow analytics of what happened. So can you give people like the recap of what happened?
So I'll give you the context of the history of my thumbnails first, and then I'll talk about in detail a little bit more this week and like where we're at. So here's what happened. Basically for like years, anytime we've had like a consistent series, I've had Dracula Fetus, the artist who does like the NLSS thumbnails, do like a cartoon thumbnail. And then the way that it goes up on YouTube is episode 1 as a number 1 in the corner, episode 20 is a number 20, et cetera, et cetera. So all the thumbnails look the same. As I've been introducing a greater variety of content, it's not conceivable to tap an artist to draw 30 thumbnails a month. Especially like if you factor in like buying the game and then paying the artist, the ad revenue we're starting to talk about, we're putting these videos up at a loss, which is nonsensical depending on the month. Anyway, so I've been making my own thumbnails for kind of like one-off stuff, and there's negatives, like it's less recognizable at a glance, but there's also positives. Every thumbnail looks a little different. You know, I can tweak things easily, and there's just something about like the agility of doing something yourself where you're like, if I want to make a 5-minute change, it takes me 5 minutes instead of writing an email, and then I can't realistically expect them to get to it for, you know, maybe 12 hours or more.
Well, that's what you said. When you said like getting 30 unique thumbnails, I'm like, okay, yeah, the money, but like the management of getting those 30 uniques. But anyways, go ahead.
Let me put it this way. Like I recorded a Northernlion Tries today. It's not going to go up tomorrow, but oftentimes I'll record a Northernlion Tries on like Monday that goes up on Tuesday. The amount of like management that would have to go into just getting the thumbnail is like, okay, first, as soon as I know the game, I got to email the artist and be like, I need a thumbnail for this game. And also it has to be back within like, you know, I don't know, 6 hours or something. It's just unreasonable unless we work in the same office together. But I like the idea. Here's the thing. I think the cartoon thumbnails work really, really, I love them. And they work really, really well for series and for people that are already on board. Because at a glance, they're just like, that's the new episode of what I already like. But I also feel like they're kind of uninspiring for people that have never seen my content before. And they're like, this is episode 1700 of this. Like, I'm not going to click on that. But we take a lot of lessons from Sinvicta. If you look at like Sinvicta's Isaac thumbnails, it's been going on for 1700 episodes or more. But every thumbnail has like a couple of the elements from the run. And it's, you know, titled with something like a little dramatic to get people invested. And, you know, I think that works better for bringing new people in. And I try to, it's the same thing that happened with like the Twitch branding where people were like, I don't really like this. And I'm like, well, first off, you're gonna like realistic. Even I hated new YouTube Studio. And now that I'm using it, I'm like, the negative stuff I've gotten used to. And now I see more of the positive stuff that previously I didn't interface with the system enough to appreciate. So like you'll get used to it for one. But secondarily, like it doesn't matter really how you feel about it because you already like the content. This is just something that's going out there for new people to be like, okay, I'm going to, you know, this image was flashy and grabbed me, and now I get a chance to get invested in the content.
So like just for context, like instead of episode 17,000 of Isaac for you, it's now like an image of Polyphemus, and if that's my favorite item, I see it in the thumbnail, I'm clicking on that versus 1,700. You're never getting that person.
That's the ideal.
Yeah.
But for Isaac, I'm still doing just the number thing.
Okay.
Because Isaac is just, it's on the treadmill. It's in like steady state cardio mode. And then like, I don't even use face cam in Isaac just because it's got this inertia. And then when the DLC comes out, you know, in the summer or 7 years from now.
Are you blowing it up face cam unique thumbnail?
Yeah. I think it's kind of a pressure point that could be good for, you know, momentum because there's like, I don't know, 100 times more attention on it when the DLC comes out. So we'll see. But so then like I started making my own
Isaac thumbnails. Bye Reddit. They're going away. Sorry.
No. I started making like my own thumbnails, and I was watching like Photoshop tutorials and stuff, and I got to the point where I was making them like relatively. I thought they looked flashy, but also descriptive. But people this week started to, I wouldn't say complain necessarily, but they were giving their feedback. And they're like, it's kind of hard to tell what series is which at a glance, which really, I best here's what I've come to
Flip
realize.
the switch on you. The switch got flipped a little bit.
You can tell. I've come to realize everybody's different. For me, if I see and there's no way this is not going to sound snarky. If I see a 1280 by 720 image with size 150 font, golden goblet, then it's got a black border or black background, white text, some accents, and a screenshot of the game. And I was like, can people? I posted on Twitter. I was like, can people tell that this is a Golden Goblet episode at a glance? People were like, and I don't think they're misrepresenting it. They were like, it's not easy to tell. And I was like losing my mind. I was like, I literally can't imagine how it couldn't be easy to tell, but I also have to take the leap of faith to trust people on it. So then people, and I got a great appreciation for like artists this week because some of the edits that people did for me, I was literally like, this is so much worse. People would be like, that's not flashy enough. Look at this one. And I'm like, this looks like it was made in like MS Paint and is like, I get that it's like a quick mock-up, but I've never in my life asked for an edit, I think, on a thumbnail, except one time I did ask Drac to like draw a cartoon shirt on me so I didn't get like demonetized on YouTube. So I'm just like, I'm always happy with all the art. So some of the like redrawn ones, I was like, these are markedly worse. I wouldn't feel good about putting them up. But then Indie Mouse, out of the blue, was just like, hey, I like doing this stuff. I worked you up like a .psd Photoshop document with like 70 layers. That is, it puts like a nice border that is an appropriate color for the series. There's a spot for some text that you can put. There's a little, your logo changes color to make it very clear that like, hey, a yellow logo is Golden Goblet. There's a little trophy icon. A green logo is like Northernlion tries. A red logo is Mario Maker. We're still going to work on the red stuff, to be honest, because that's the one criticism that makes sense to me is that the red border makes it look like you've watched a little bit of the video. Yeah. So we're still tweaking that, but that stuff is all good. I mean, I was happy to have the constructive criticism, and I'll be honest, I think the thumbnails look more generic now with the Indie Mouse template, but I think generic is kind of okay. Like as long as they're flashy enough and descriptive and clickable, even though they don't look as different, like one-to-one, I think that it's more relevant to have like kind of a brand uniformity, if that makes sense. So, and the reason I did this, so this all started with me putting the border around the thumbnail, is I was like, Kate watches a lot of YouTube on our TV, but it's all in Korean, right? Like maybe 85% in Korean, 15% Dan. So I don't, I don't know what's happening in the video most of the time, but I get to see like, it almost like takes the text out of it for me. I only see like the image of the thumbnail. And I started thinking to myself, like, which of these would I click if I were, just browsing with like my animal brain? And I was like, the ones with the borders look like really nice. So I started experimenting with putting the borders on. And I told you we'd look at like the click-through rate to see how that changes things. And I got the data up right here.
Yeah, hit us with it.
So these are pre Indie Mouse because it takes like 48 hours for YouTube to put the analytics in. But I've got 4 Northernlion tries up here, not cherry picked, just from within like the last 2 weeks. So I got 2 puzzle games. Filament, which has no border.
Is that the one that says it's lit? Is that a thumbnail?
No, that lit is the other one. Yeah, lit is the other one I took. So lit has a border, and Filament doesn't. Click-through rate from strangers, like not from non-subscribers. On Filament, no border, 2.4%. Lit Bend the Light, 3.2%. And then Streets of Rage 4, no border, 2.2% click-through rate.
Okay.
Infinite Beyond the Mind, border, 3.2% click-through rate. So it's like, so far, it seems like there might be like, I mean, it's a 1% increase, but it's also like, if this data holds, it's also a 50% increase to go from 2 to 3%. And like it manifests itself in interesting ways. So like on the like Filaments, it has 803 impressions. 45% of that is people who are not subscribed. This is not views, just people who have had the opportunity to see the thumbnail. 45% of those are from non-subscribers. 2.4% clicked it. That got about 19,000. Well, actually, like the funnel's kind of messed up. But let me just put it this way. that YouTube gives you a little measure that's like, here's how much watch time you got from us showing the thumbnail to people. Filament got 4.4 thousand hours. Lit Ben the Light with a 1% higher click-through rate got almost 6,000. So like we're talking about an extra 1,500 hours of watch time, which actually changes like a huge difference, to be honest. Like an extra 1,500 hours of watch time, like first off, that helps you out in the algorithm for one, if you know what we've believed about stuff like that is to be true. And secondarily, like you get paid based on watch time from YouTube Premium subscribers. So even just having more watch time, even though the view counts are very, very similar, is like it's good for your bottom line. And like the same thing is true on the other side. Although I will say, like, here's the thing: Infinite's only been up for 2 days, so the numbers don't really bear out as much. But it's just like the click-through rate by itself could account for like another 1,000 to 3,000 hours of watch time just by putting the border on the thumbnail.
Which is like, I mean, now we're talking about split testing, but now you're talking about a successful split test if the data continues. So
right, yeah, it's not like a split test because it's not this. You can't A/B test put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like the Infinite Beyond the Mind thumbnail has an anime lady holding a weapon. Maybe anime ladies getting more clicked versus Streets of Rage 4 was a dude like shooting a Hadoken, you know. But like it over time, if we have like, because we have like 150 Northernlion tries that are not bordered, we can look at 150 that are bordered and see how the click-through rates change based on that. So it's not a perfectly like, it's not a laboratory experiment yet, but
it's a laboratory enough for me to make all my thumbnails for the next week with the board. I'm not even joking either. But I think you bring up an interesting thing, and this is a metaphor I thought about when you talk about the thumbnails and the feedback, is like, here you are a chef, and you're like, hey, this is the best burger in the world with Swiss cheese on it. And your customers are saying, hey, we just like the plain burger without the Swiss cheese. So for you as a cook, for you to be able, I don't want to say show maturity, that's not the right answer, but to be able to be like, okay, hey, look, I'm not making this burger for me and what I think is best, but what they want, which is essentially what you're doing. I think that's like shows some maturity, right? Because you can make something that you think looks great and you're like, oh, I can't fathom how someone couldn't see this. But also we're not in the shoes of maybe someone that watches 5 or 6 different people on YouTube every day. So we're not essentially making stuff for ourselves, you know. And then the other thing I think that brings up an interesting, I guess, meta level discussion is at what point, you know, I know how I feel, but do you got to balance taking care of the people that you have or the people that are with you and trying crazy thumbnails that may alienate them to bring in new people, right? Like, so where's your comfort level in that in terms of
this is on lock. I have a very clean philosophy about this because I actually think like your comparison makes sense, but is not perfect because the food is like the content, in my opinion. Okay. Like the burger is like the video. I think when you're talking about the like thumbnail design, the packaging of the burger, the sign outside the restaurant, or like the restaurant's name, or the font on the menu, or like what the flyers look like. So the way I look at it is like, if somebody that watches a lot of my content is like here's a comment that's come up now and then. I like NL, but I wish he was less adversarial with chat sometimes. I think that's really good feedback because that's someone coming into your restaurant that likes the food and being like, I liked it more before this happened. So I think that's about the food and it's good. Like it's about the content. It is good. If somebody comes into my restaurant and they come in every day and they're like, I don't like the font on the menu or the sign out front is garish. I'm like, the sign's not for you. Like, yeah, okay, Guy Fieri ate at our restaurant. So we put a picture of Guy Fieri on the window so the people that have never eaten here recognize Guy Fieri and go, oh, if this restaurant was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, then it's got to be good. So I'll get in there.
Let me devil's advocate for you. I got a family of 4. There's NL's Burgers. It's on the corner of Maiden 69th. We drive by. There it is. We drive by the next day. Hey, the sign's different. Is that the same restaurant? What happened to the sign?
There has been an element of that for sure. However, I'm also like, you know, maybe I've had too much faith in people in general, but I was like, it still says Northernlion Burgers on the front. We just changed the font from yellow to red or something like that. So I feel like And I understand it because we're in the same boat. Like everybody's in the same boat. When Facebook changes their layout, people are like, I hate it. I want to go back. When YouTube was like, we're going to force Creator Studio on people, everybody was like, give me classic, give me classic, give me classic. So we're all in the same, everybody hates change. But like, I'm also, there's kind of like two things to balance. One is doing things absolutely right by your audience. And the other thing is doing things in such a way that it advertises well to new people. So I would never like, the content is pure. I don't want to touch it to a huge extent. If all I want to do is double down on what already makes people like the content, right? But changing the thumbnail or the titles or stuff like that, or like asking people for likes or asking people for subscriptions, that stuff I don't mind tinkering with, because for me that's like the marketing side of it. And when people that are already invested in the product, they already know that they like it, are like, I don't like this marketing, I do take it less seriously, because I mean there's a couple of reasons. One is you're already on board. So like, my personal opinion is there should be like a separation there where like, let me run my business side of things and you just like watch the content or don't watch it. You should watch or not watch it based on the quality of the product and how much you enjoy it. And the second thing is everybody thinks they know how the YouTube business works because the barrier to entry is zero, but nobody's actually, or a very small percentage of people are actually doing it. So like everybody thinks like, why won't he take the effort to make the thumbnails like this? It would increase the click-through rate. And I'm like, you don't know that. You're just saying that's like that would work, but you haven't actually tested. You don't have any data. So like your analysis is essentially worth, like the analysis from the armchair of like, this is what I think would happen is worth very little to me. I would much rather hear from somebody that was like, I've done this and it did work or it didn't work. And like, that's why I like talking to Sinvicta, because he's like, here's what I'm doing to market my channel and it's like popping off. Or I like talking to Indie Mouse, who's like here, like he's doing insane numbers on his videos. Obviously we make like a different style of content, but he's like, here's what I like. And also I'm a graphic designer to some extent. And that's why I like talking to Mathis about like podcasting stuff, because Chilluminati is popping off. So if possible, like just to be fair, like I will pay literally like 100 to 1,000 times more attention to somebody who's done it than somebody who thinks that it would work.
Right. And for context, like the thumbnail stuff, you're not like, hey, I'm trying out the thumbnail borders and I think they work. Like you're like, hey, yeah, I did it. Here's the numbers. Here's why I think it's going to increase by 1% because here's the examples. But I think to kind of wrap up the conversation, what you're saying is if you're a restaurant, the secret sauce and the composition of the burger and bun is never going to change.
Correct.
The chairs may change color, the wallpaper, the lighting, the promotions we run, but you're still coming to get the burger.
That's my hope, at least.
Yeah.
And I know there's probably people who are like, I go to McDonald's for coffee every day. And when they changed it to McCafe instead of McDonald's coffee, I was like, I don't like change. I think it's like a natural human response. But I'm also like, maybe that gives you a potential point where you're thinking about it and you're like, maybe I'll start going to Starbucks instead. But I think, 98% of people are still going to be like, yeah, okay, I'm used to it now. And people like, first off, they hate change. And then honestly, I think most of the time they get used to it and think it's better. I think it's human nature. As long as you don't like, I didn't rebrand myself to just like a cartoon drawing of an egg or something. Like, I think as long as you put care into it and design it appropriately, I think it's like, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. No, and the other thing I like you said is that you kind of went to every person you mentioned, whether it's Sinvicta or Mathis, you went to practitioners in the area for advice. Like, and I think there's a lot of value to that in anything, right? And I feel like anyone can become a practitioner, right? And one of the things that, and I don't talk about that I got triggered on your subreddit this past week is that someone posted a message and said, hey, on your birthday, Dan will send you a text. And then,
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
And then someone responded, say, 100% this is automated. It's cool that he does this, but it's automated. He didn't send that. And like, I never get triggered, but one of the things, like talk about being a practitioner versus not, and I don't think it wasn't malicious, is that I take an immense amount of pride, and it's like a pillar of what I do, is that if you hear from me a comment, a tweet, it's from me. Like, I don't believe, to me, in automation, automating communicating to people. And so like I took a step back and I'm like, okay, just chill. Number one, chill. And then number two, formulate a response that, that is is accurate. And so I just said, hey, look, I take this pretty serious. I know you didn't mean this maliciously, but if you get a text from me, it's from me. And if it takes me 3 weeks to text you back, and you don't hear from me, it's because I text everyone back. And so, and it ended up being like, it ended up solving itself, but it to tie it into being a practitioner, like whoever said that, and there were 2 people that said it, they'd never used one of the platforms where they didn't understand. And so that's not it's not necessarily on them, but I would maybe just say, like, if you're looking for advice, you're almost either go to the practitioner or you try it yourself. And to me, like, that's why when you talked about that, like, I would 100% go to Matt and be like, hey, look, here's our numbers. What do you think we should do? How can we make this better? Versus like open up a Twitter thread saying, hey, what should we change about our podcast? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
But so I don't know. And so it's just something, there's very few things that I take serious about what we do online, because it's all, it's all a lot of fun. What we do is entertainment, but like someone coming and saying like, hey, this isn't actually you doing this. It just, because it means so much to me. And because I think on the flip side, the more and more we do this, and when you get the messages and the heartfelt message in response, I think, to me, the way I feel that way is would be like a rather cold way to have an automated response. Someone says, hey, look, like, you helped during this, or really enjoy this, and be like, oh, hey, thanks, haha, follow me here.
Yeah, DanGheesling Enterprises has responded to your comment with a heart or something.
Yeah, it's like, okay, hey, this person just shared something that you've created, or they really enjoyed, and you just kind of smack them in the face. So and look, it's not, and I think the thing where people may get confused about, it's not a scalable thing, right? Like, responding to everyone is not scalable. It would be easy to just have automated responses, but to me, that's the importance of it, and that's what the difference is for me. And I feel like that's one of the things that, not that everyone has to do it, but it's just my way of doing it. I think over time, people, I think, hopefully can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, it's kind of a topic for another conversation, and it'll come up naturally for sure when we talk about community. But I really think, like, a lot of YouTubers and streamers, especially when they reach a certain size, I think they go too far into the, like, I'm not going to touch upon this stuff at all sort of situation. Like, and they end up resenting their audience a little bit because they don't interact with them at all. They only experience like the most negative parts of it. And I'll admit, some days I'm like, like last week when we had like a little Reddit drama, I was like, man, if I could rebuild this from the ground up and start from zero, I definitely would put in like a separation between me and the community, because this is like outrageous. And I don't know about you, but especially like the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't want to deal with this garbage. I'm already like, I'm kind of crushing it. And then like the drama happens about like people just make up stuff in their own head for what they think is happening. And then I'm like, it would be better if I was just off here. But at the same time, I think that also being in there gives you the opportunity to sculpt the community in the direction that you want it to go. Like, really, for me, like the win of the year, I mean, there's a few, to be honest, but like the professional win of the year on YouTube, at least, is that my comments have gone from like exclusively, for the most part, cherry picking like little things that went wrong in the episode, or like I pronounced a word wrong 17 minutes into the episode, or I left a penny on the ground one room before the chest, to like it's exclusively like 99.5% positive comments or constructive criticism, but from a place of like, I enjoy the content and like I'm happy to be here, but also next time you encounter this situation, you could do this instead and it'll work out. And the only reason it's done that is because I'm in there responding. And I think people that previously were like, nobody reads this, or he doesn't read it anyway, so I'm just going to be kind of a jerk because that's going to get a lot of attention, is that, now they're like, the way to get attention is to be nice. And maybe that's putting like a carrot in a stick, which some people would look at as kind of like a negative. But I'm like, maybe you get trained on the carrot and the stick. And then the next time you're in a comment section that's not mine, you're like, I don't want to be a jerk because I've trained myself to kind of like be nicer,
Yeah, no. And I think for you, like the X factor was you. Like, you went from people, people calling your hotline to say thank you, and they're either getting a dial tone or an automated voicemail. Now they're like, hey, this is actually Ryan on the line, and you know, and I think it has a real impact on people, and I think that's maybe one of the things that, you know, we talk about your January vlog, that like that would be inserted into that, right? Like just understanding that there's someone behind every comment, and that, you know, you can either impact them any way you choose. But you reminded me of something that happened. I've never done this during a show, but it's something you talk about, because you said either you get involved or you don't. And I don't know about you, and I think we've talked about this, but there's times when like you get to know people in chat, and I kind of hit it was all inside. So I'm putting on a show, and it's been like weeks of an individual, just like everything that's coming out is like critical, and it's not like critical, hey, you can do this. It's like every time. And so in the middle of the show, no one knew that I did this. In the middle of the show, I'm playing the game. I mouse over, I click on their name. How long have they been following? Click on their profile. This is all while the show's going on Twitch. I'm like, I need to contact this person right now. And I'm like, there was no email. Then I went during the show. I got my Discord open. I'm like typing the person's name in the Discord. It's not there, because when the moment happened, I'm saying, hey, look, I've noticed like things have been very negative from you in the channel. Is there something I can do differently, or is there something going on? Because, you know, this is not, I don't appreciate this. And I was very close in the show to being like, hey, do you have a Discord? I wasn't going to say how or why, but I was going to say, hey, please send me a DM. But I didn't, like, that's how important it was to me, because, you know, and I don't have it at scale like you do, but like, it's not like a one comment. It's people that hang around, and it's not a lot. It's like 0.001. There's one person I can think of, and it's like, I just want to get to that person and not like scold them, but just be like, hey, what's going on? Like, this is what's happening on my end when I see that. Is that what you intend to do? If it's what you intend to do, then, you know, go watch Ryan instead. I'm just joking. But, but you know, like, hey, like, you know, it's just not acceptable behavior. So I don't know. So that's like, but that's how far I'm willing to go, because like, and I feel like there's been an evolution for you, but like, if you don't handle it, then all of a sudden oh, this person's talking like this. Now these two, it's just, I don't know. I feel like you got to protect not only yourself, but the community from that happening.
Yeah. And actually, like, that's something I wouldn't say like I've been struggling with it all, but it's like during the Warzone streams in particular, it's hard because the culture in chat is like, I mean, they pog up when you do something good, but even if you die in like a pretty even gunfight, people are like, lol, what a like disaster. Why didn't you, like, sometimes you'll just like we had a situation yesterday as a charity tournament, right? But we're like stuck in an open field, and then we got sniped, and they were like, why was he like not in cover? And sometimes the comments come in like 45 seconds after the event that takes place. And you're like, I have been timing people out, but like, it's hard because I'm like not personally offended, but I also don't want the chat to just become backseating and like, look at what happened here, look at this terrible mistake. But I've been like timing people out, not because they make me upset, but rather because I want to avoid the precedent that chat is exclusively during Warzone going to be like, why didn't Dan do this? Oh, like, Apollo stole your kill, mouth's dropping in a weird spot, Ryan can't shoot. Like, it's always, it's weird to me. I'm like, we killed it yesterday. We killed it on Tuesday, and most people agree. Don't get me wrong. Like, the reaction is really positive. But I think there's like an initial reaction that's like, you know, I can take a snipe at them because they did something obvious that's wrong. But I'm trying to avoid that. But it's hard because you're also like, it's active participation. These are people that have been around for a long time. At the same time, I'm like, just cool it. Just be cool.
Well, and I think it's like maybe a conversation for another time, but I think anytime, like, whether Unity, right? So like, you're engaging with the game and engaging with us, it's really hard to manage. Like, that happened to me. I was playing Warzone today with Jay and some friends, and like, I look at chat and it's like, people are saying like comrade stuff. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, you know, but ultimately it's on us to like be able to handle that. But I do think it's different when it's 1-to-1, right? But I don't know. It's kind of like you have to take your hands off the wheel and trust, and then see what happens. I don't know. There's so many interesting dynamics about what we do, and maybe what sometimes people don't think about, because Like you're essentially, when you're doing a collaboration stream, you're essentially just saying like, all right, chat, like good luck.
Best behavior, please. Yeah.
Maybe, you know, maybe there's something to that. Like, I don't know. I think there may be something to that. But anyways, so yeah, so I mean, I think it's all in all, it's been a great week for both of us. But
I can't complain. Yeah, it's been good.
As we wrap up here, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a few Twitter questions and then a few live Twitch questions. Thank you to the people. Tyler, the producer, has been doing a great job collecting the Twitter questions, because I know there's a lot of people that listen to audio only and still want their questions answered. So we're going to go, we'll go this instant. This is from Cheaty Hot Beef, who used the hashtag check the wire. And if you want to get your questions answered and you don't watch live, it says, hey, Dan and NL, if possible, could you talk about your most popular video of all time on your channel? And if you guys would do similar to them, to the other person's popular. Okay, so I'm just going to truncate one of them. Talk about your most popular video of all time. Ryan.
I think it's Rebirth episode 1 now. So like that, I mean, what can you say? That one's it's self-evident. I was popular for playing Flash Isaac, and I played Rebirth the day it came out, and the video, you know, is out of control. So I think that is like a little bit less interesting. What's more interesting for me is like, I think number 2 is like me taking a look at the Xbox Live version of Minecraft the day it came out. And all I can really think is that was like, is the perfect storm. I didn't realize, I honestly thought that video would be like nothing. Like it wouldn't do that well, but Minecraft had an insane level of popularity. Obviously it still does. It's the first console release for it, and I really underestimated the amount of people that in like 2012 were like maybe console exclusive gamers. Because I think the culture back then was a little bit more like everyone had like a laptop at that point. So like it got way more attention than I thought it would. And I mean, the comments are hilarious because it's a lot of like teenagers and, you know, preteens calling me bad words because I said that the PC version was better, but this one's pretty good. But then I think like the other one that's interesting is like XCOM is somewhere in like the top 5, I think, with over 1 million views, like the first episode of XCOM Enemy Unknown. So I think, you know, you can see the seeds for stuff that is, you know, gone on to become kind of like defining elements of my channel based on that. But how about you?
Yeah, in my end, it's something that I used to look at a lot because I really took it personal, where when I first started my YouTube channel, it had nothing to do with gaming. It was just Big Brother stuff. And so I'd go to my popular videos and it would be like just everything above the fold was all Big Brother stuff. And like as I got going, like it would be like, all right, one gaming video would squirt in there. So now it's like it's completely all flushed down, which is, you know,
hey, that's great.
It was a big moment. Like, I mean, it happened like 3 or 4 years ago, but it was like a big moment for me of like making that jump. But for me, the top 2, one is Big Cargo Haul, Star Citizen. I have no idea. Actually, ironically enough, I just had a meeting with Zane and Tyler about it and like how we can do stuff more like this. And then the second one is a first look at of EVE Online from 3 years ago. So both,
really,
yeah. So it's like, and then the third one
funny.
is episode 1 of Fallout Shelter, a mobile game. So I don't know. It's just, I don't think that's indicative of what the channel's like now, but I don't know. It's still interesting to look at. So
But some stuff just takes off for no reason.
Yeah.
Like one of my most popular videos is like, I took a look at the Wipeout video game, like the obstacle course TV show video game for the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
It was garbage. Even when I bought the game at Best Buy, because there was like 8 launch titles on the Wii U, right? And even Kate was like, why are you spending like $70 on this game? I was like, I don't know, might make for a funny video. And now I don't know, it might have like 700,000 views or something ridiculous. Beats me.
All right, next one, we'll take another question from Twitter and then 2 from the live feed. It says, I think I know your answer to this one, but this is from Hessel Jager. It says, do you guys delete your videos after they've been uploaded, or do you archive them somewhere? I imagine the sheer amount of videos would make them hard to store.
I have no sentimentality in my body whatsoever. I have like 15,000 videos or something stupid. And sometimes people are like, you know, oh, what if YouTube like goes down? Like those videos are lost forever. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think it's a low percentage chance. But also secondarily, I'm like, if YouTube goes down, I'm not uploading 15,000 videos to a new video platform. Like, are you insane? Uploading, like realistically, uploading 100 videos a day would still take me so long to even catch up with 0. So we would just start over with like new content someplace else.
So you don't have like, Isaac 1 saved anywhere?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I really think, like, I don't know. I think people put a lot of, they put, in my opinion, too much emphasis on that. Now, like your data at home on your computer or your like business data that's important to you, back it up for sure, obviously. But like in terms of like, there's probably like less than 100 videos that I would love to put back up again, and the other literally 99.4% doesn't matter, in my opinion.
So my take on it's a little bit different, and it's something I've been messing around with now. I've been messing with recording locally the Twitch streams, because like we were, during the break before the show, there was a highlight video, and you were like, hey, this looks like it's from the SNES, so like the loss is terrible. But what really changed my mind
I said PS2. I said PS2,
sorry, which is accurate. That's what it looked like. But what changed for me was when that the European TV station deal came and said, hey, we want to license your Cuphead series. I'm like, okay, is there a chance something like this could happen in the future somewhere down the road? Yeah. And so to me, it's not super organized, but I have a bunch of USBs where I'll just dump all the videos there, because I don't know, one day, I think one day, who knows how, where, or why, there's going to be an opportunity hey, be like, hey, you want some content, you want to license whatever, there you go, have fun with it. And to me, like the trade-off of buying a USB drive, dragging and dumping it is enough. Now the trade-off is oftentimes I'll run out of disk space and forget to do that, but that's kind of where my head's at. But it's not for sentimental reasons. I'm with you. I'm
just trying to wrap my head around the man who deletes all of his emails on Gmail once a month, saves all of his videos onto USB drives.
Well, I mean, like removable drive, a removable drive. All right, we'll take 2 questions from Twitch, and then we're gonna wrap up here. It says, this is from Dolly on. Oh, that's a tweet. Where's the live questions, Tyler? Live Twitch. It says, this is from Superlight. Says, do you have a guilty pleasure game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll define a guilty pleasure game as, I guess in this case, it's stuff that like doesn't do well for viewership, but I like to play, or even stuff that is like perhaps disrespected publicly that I like to play. I have 2. I like to play sports games, and the culture, especially with PC gamers, is that sports games are garbage, like annualized franchises that are just loot box sales pitches, basically. And I think that's honestly true in the modern era, like a lot of them. I mean, I think NHL, FIFA, and NBA 2K definitely are. I don't know about Madden because I haven't played it in like 15 years. But I think that the core gameplay of those games is really fun. So I've been playing a decent amount of NHL 20, and like it has a lot of problems. Like to the extent where I just want to like email EA and be like that why does the menu, I got to get through 8 menus to get to the mode I want to play. Every single menu is pinging a server, waiting for a response just so I can hit the button that says next to move on to the next menu. Like, what are you thinking? But so that's one. Then the other one is I like games with minimalist mechanics that you could even maybe describe as like mobile focused. Like I like 2-button games. I like puzzle games that are like, just you only have one thing that you do over and over. And I kind of like, I get overwhelmed and almost have an innate bias against games with really robust mechanics. So obviously like Factorio, RimWorld, Europa Universalis 4, like these are amazing, amazing games, like legitimately amazing games. But if you send me a marketing pitch that's like, look at all the stuff you can do in our game, like look at all the menus, you can micromanage their, nutrition, and then like the nutrition in the soil goes into the plant, and then the speed at which they eat it. Like, that stuff, like simulations level stuff, doesn't interest me at all. But if you're like, you drag your mouse back and let go, and it shoots the frisbee, and you try to get the frisbee like into the pin, I'm like, yeah, I'll play it, of course. So that's probably it.
Yeah, I'd say mine only one, and I don't play a ton of it, is 2K. Like if I had nothing but free time, I would probably play online 2K all the time and just like have fun with it, because it's just, like you can. I don't talk trash, but I laugh when people talk trash. It's that's my. So I guess in your same vein, sports. It's just a lot of fun, but it's also like it's a time sink. So I don't play it a ton. All right, and then the next question says, all right, this is from. Oh, this is interesting. This is I call it definitely maybe a harder hitting one. It says, this is from Chim the Chimp. It says, do you guys value each series you make on a monetary scale?
What do you think they mean by that?
Like, do you like, hey, you're continuing this series, or you put a dollar amount on Isaac versus Tumbleseed?
Yes and no. Each series is different. Isaac's not going anywhere. Part of the reason it's not going anywhere is economics, because it does well by itself to begin with. And then 6 months from now or 2 years from now, when the DLC comes out, is the fact that I have momentum coming into it is going to help out a great deal. Northernlion Tries isn't going anywhere. Some of the videos do very well. Some of the videos don't really take off. That's, I see that series as like the value proposition is not the monetary gain that it gives you, but it's almost like you talk about YouTube being a loss leader. Like some videos I basically break even on, but you never know, it might get picked up in the search traffic and become like the next Wipeout, on Wii U or something like that, and get a ton of viewers. Plus, I think it gives people that are subscribed to the channel and are diehard viewers something new to watch every single day, which is like, that's the main reason I make that. But then like that 10 a.m. time slot for sure is like, that's where I'm like, I'm brutal, more or less. And we talked about it maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago with Exit the Gungeon. I would have liked to have played more Exit the Gungeon. I was enjoying the game. The first episode came out and people watched it. The second episode, people were like, I don't like this at all. So I was like, I hate to do it, but I gotta be the Axeman and I gotta cut this series. And that's kind of the same thing that happened to Eden. Like Eden went on for like 45 episodes or something like that, way longer than it probably should have from an economic standpoint. But I was explaining to people like the fact that people like Eden is almost like why I have to kill it, if that makes any sense at all. Because enough people like it that it's hard to kill it. But if I stick to it because a lot of people like it, the slow bleed, like it wasn't starting from a huge number, it was starting from a pretty small number. But like the slow bleed will make it so like this series will like kill me over time. So that 10 a.m. time slot is really like, we're at the position where we're just trying to cycle new stuff in. That's the one where I kind of try to, let me rephrase, or let me contextualize. Isaac's not going anywhere because viewership's solid. Northernlion Tries isn't really about money. Golden Goblet is just something we're going to keep doing. Geo, something we're going to keep doing. That 10 a.m. time slot, on the other hand, is like, I want that to
prime
to
time.
I want that to be the golden goose.
That's where the Super Bowl ads are coming in, so it's got to have viewership. And
if something does well, exactly. If something does well in that slot, we'll run it for a week, and when the numbers get low, maybe we'll axe it. And then try to constantly keep working up other stuff or working in other stuff over and over to keep it fresh.
It makes sense. My quick take is if there's something like the most recent one I can think of is Stone Shard. I love the game, would play it forever. But like when that happens, I'll commit to something. Like I think it was 7 days. I'm like, all right, let me selfishly push whatever 5 more days. But then I'll just put a cap on it. So as much as I want to play something, if it's not there, then sorry, gotta eat it. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Episode 14/15, whatever number it is. We appreciate you guys being here. If you guys watch on iTunes, listen on iTunes, please leave a review and rate it. It helps tremendously. If you're watching after the fact on youtube.com/Northernlion, hit us up with timestamp your favorite moments for TikTok fame. And as always, we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live, and we will see you guys next week.